Rip.
It's not as simple as, you got this Anne Ryan thing going. You're looking at this world as, capitalism against socialism. It's good people, folks versus people who are ruthless. It's not that.
Rootin', tootin', tootin'.
Work like that. That managers
Yeah, bro.
are stressed by the people they manage, that the people they manage are stressed by their managers. I mean, think about it, right? Just all you have to do is think about that for a minute. It's like you're an employee and you have a manager. And the manager's a bit of a jerk, let's say, but there's 20 of you. Right. So there's you're kind of 1/20th oppressed by the manager. But now you're the manager and you're managing 20 people and you're responsible for them. We're assuming that you're not a psychopath. And you're probably not, because you probably wouldn't be able to get to be a manager if you were a psychopath, because psychopaths generally aren't very successful and they have to keep moving as people figure out who they are. So the idea that psychopathic power is a good route to power in a functioning organization is a stupid theory. There are some organizations that are pathological enough so that works, but they don't last very long either. So you're the manager and you're a decent human being and you've got 20 people who are dependent on you, and at least 2 of those people are real trouble. They're serious trouble. And they're your concern all the time. And so you see this as people move up the corporate hierarchies, people, they have more and more power. It's like, yeah, but not really. They have more and more responsibility, and their behavior is actually monitored with increasing severity. It's like you're quite constrained in most high-level positions of authority in complex organizations. You have to behave pretty damn carefully, or you're going to get yourself in trouble very, very quickly. Well, certainly today. I think that wasn't necessarily the case a decade ago or 2 decades ago. It was less the case.
Too crazy.
Today it's far easier to get called out on things. But even so, even 20 years ago, if you didn't treat your customers properly, and carefully, reciprocally, in long-term relationships, you're a big failure. And in any corporation that produces anything of any value, the production is one thing, so you have to be confident at the production. You have to be in constant communication with your buyers and foster those relationships personally, because there's intense competition.
Camilla, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind.
Your business fails. One of the things I really learned, because I spent a lot of time in business people as well as academics, is that business people do a tremendous amount of socialization compared to academics. Academics can judge each other's work more or less on the basis of its scientific merit. And so they don't have to establish personal relationships to the same degree. But business people are always wondering, well, can I trust you? Can we enter into a reciprocal relationship that's going to be a mutual benefit over the long run? And so they're testing people out socially all the time. And if you're not capable of reciprocating honestly over some decades, say, then you're going to screw things up in an absolutely horrible way. It's one of the reasons why they like to use dolphins. Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. It's 2 things. One, you get to see how someone handles competition. You get to see if they cheat. Yep. See if they cheat in golf. It's an interesting story. A good friend of mine, his dad was playing golf with this man, and his wife was there as well. And the wife saw the dad saw this man that he was playing golf with move the ball. And she said, do not go into business with this man. Do not trust this man. He's a cheater. He cheated at golf. And he thought it was not that big a deal. It's just a game of golf. Just no, this is a big deal. Turns out the guy was a fucking criminal. It just took a while to find out. He wound up doing a lot of other things, and how you do some things is oftentimes how you do everything. Yeah, well, that's why people are so interested in games. Yes. Because games... See who a person really is. Games... Such an admirer of Piaget, because he knew very well that game is a microcosm of reality. Yeah. That's why we like... you have to have an explanation for why people like games. Yeah. And I've been talking about this a lot in my lectures too. So you think, well, any game, any competitive game, soccer's a good example, it's basically a hunting game. Okay? Because you're firing a projectile at a target. Okay, so the target's the ball, but it doesn't matter. So you have teams that are figuring out how to hunt properly. Then you think, well, to hunt properly, you have to put the ball in the net as many times as you possibly can. So you organize yourself in a hierarchy to facilitate that.
The fuck's gonna make a groundhog?
That's not the whole story. Because you tell your kids, doesn't matter whether you win or lose, play the game. And the kids all freaked out about that because he doesn't know
Good
what you
real
mean.
talk.
He says, well, what do you mean, Dan? Supposed to try to win. And you say, I don't know what I mean, but it's still true. But here's what you mean, is that if you're in a league, you're not trying to win the soccer game. You're trying to win the soccer championship. And to win the championship, you have to win a whole bunch of games. And the rules to win a whole bunch of games aren't the same as the rules to win one game. You know, like you could go flat out as the prima donna and bend the rules and cut corners and exhaust everyone and win the game, and then lose the next three because that's a stupid medium to long-term strategy. Or you could be like the superstar and hog the ball all the time and never give your teammates a chance to develop, but then you're injured and your team is out. So that's a stupid strategy too. So you think, well, what you have to do to win the championship is that you have to organize your team so that the best players lead, but that everybody gets developed, and that you play the medium to long-term game in a fair way, fair and decent way. Okay, so you think, well, that's how you win the championship. I talked to a coach about that, and he said one of the things he did to select athletes was to watch what happened when they scored a goal. And if they were celebrating on their own, you know, sort of an egotistical way, then that wasn't such a good sign. But if they scored a goal or a touchdown or whatever it was, and their entire team came in and bombed them and then like lifted them up on their shoulders, and they thought that guy is an athlete. Because not only can he put the ball in the net, but he does it in a way that benefits the entire team. And that's the person you want around for the long run. So then the goal isn't just to put the ball in the goal. The goal is to put the ball in the goal the largest number of times while simultaneously benefiting as many of your fellow players as you can.
Well, although I think that's a great strategy, I don't think that's necessarily, you know, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, it's how you play the game. I don't think people think of it in terms of like a long-term strategy for championship leagues. I think when they're saying it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. Meaning, don't cheat.
Yeah.
Do your best and learn.
Right, but I think that's right. Well, learn how to handle failure.
Right.
Learn how to handle victory.
You'll also learn from the experience itself. Like if you make a mistake and you're trying your hardest, but you make an error because someone has a counter to it. And if you win, just because you got lucky, that's not as good as playing intelligently
and expanding your skills
and lose it. Yes, because the other people are
while you're playing, or expanding your skills so that you will get that playing the next game. Then you soccer championship.
championships will come to sell and get excellent.
Yes, and also if people play.
Yeah.
So there's so those are the two things. So that's the goal. Right? The goal isn't to put the ball in. The goal is to get excellent and to be invited to play.
Right.
And the mechanism is that you put the ball in the goal. And that makes sense. See, that helps explain why people find competitive sports so unbelievably compelling. Because you can be cynical. Somebody kick a spheroid object into a net and who the hell cares? And like that's expertise and to learn to play reciprocally in a noble and ethical manner. And all of that sport, done properly, is a direct physical incarnation of that ethic. And so it's not surprising that that's why people get so excited when they see an athlete do something. Imagine the best thing that you can see in a sports event is someone who does something purely in the spirit of fair play and in a manner that's unbelievably excellent. Wayne Gretzky, because he was an excellent sportsman, but also unbelievably skilled. So people loved him, and that's perfect because he was a player who played the game like it was more important to play it properly than to win, and he was on the top of his game at the same time. And that's what you want to be in light. That's right. No cutting corners. And so that's very cool. And you see a very high order ethic emerge out of that. You want to be the kind of player that everybody. I kind of wrote about that in 12 Rules for Life. Because part of my advice in those files is not to make your kids do anything that makes you dislike them. And that's part of the idea there is that, you know, if you're really on the side of your children, you help them develop in a manner that makes them eminently desirable to other children and probably adults, because then the world opens up. That's where, and you do that in the school. This is what makes the Marxist kind of strong, is that this strategy of success in life is
What? My life, bro. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
well, the other thing that's kind of sad.
Fuck, maybe I should have switched my
No matter what
class.
system you set up, that outcome. You know, like if you look at the Pareto distribution, so if that's the distribution of wealth,
Fucking
you
A.
find that in every society that we know of, whether it's capitalist or socialist or communist for that matter, a small proportion of the people have a disproportionate amount of the resources. So
I need to
so
get
the other
this.
thing that I've been trying to explain in my lectures is that if you were really concerned about the dispossessed and the poor, you wouldn't put hierarchical dispossession at the feet of capitalism, because it's a way worse problem than that. You know, because the Marxists,
Remember the
you didn't have capitalism, there wouldn't be hierarchies, there wouldn't be dispossession, and that's complete bloody rubbish, because the problem of hierarchy and
Ronnie's the bitch
dispossession is
that
way
I was
deeper
actually
than
gonna be
the problem of capitalism.
gone.
So, like, if you look at Neolithic grave sites way before there was capitalism, you see that a small number of
Yeah, I
people
knew
are
it.
buried with all the gold. So, the fact of unequal distribution of resources, that's as old as hierarchies are old. It's unbelievably old. And so, for the leftists to take an anti-capitalist position, so that's going to be a better.
Oh! I'm gonna speedrun this. Nah, I'm just gonna fuck it up. Damn, I like that. That's a good photo though.
Because, yeah, well, the thing is, it's not the case.
There's still a chance for retreat, huh? Oh.
The fact that you can't characterize the West as a patriarchal tyranny doesn't mean that hierarchies don't become tyrannical. Sometimes they do. And yeah, and we have to be alert to that. That's been known for a very long time.
So is it fair to say that the West has some aspects of a hierarchy?
Of course. I would say that's a mythological and they're pitted against each other. And your job is to amplify the wise king and keep the tyrant under control. That's the evil advisor to the king, like Scar and Lion King. Right? So there's always this shadowy figure in the background that's allowing the psychopath and powerless sense attempting to take over the hierarchy by ill-gotten means. That's
Games.
evil itself in some sense.
Trill cotton.
So that has to be taken into consideration. But the problem with the viewpoint
Oh, that's so chill.
then whenever you see anyone
Smoke
who's
wings.
masculine manifest anything that's associated with confidence or confidence
Man,
or let's say competitiveness or
smoke man, you so gross.
aggression,
1
it
million,
immediately
what I
assume that that's
gross.
nothing but a manifestation of tyrannical power.
I
And
don't
then
know
you
about these
discourage it,
folks, and fuck these
you
folks.
certainly fail to encourage it. And I think that that's a dreadful mistake because that masculine energy, whether that's characteristic of women or men, can certainly manifest that. That's something
This
that
is
should be
snowstorm one.
integrated and celebrated. And the way you do that, that's part of why mechanisms like competitive sports are so necessary. Is that you want to take kids, let's say boys,
Smoke man, you so gross. 1 million, what I gross.
you want to take them, you want to socialize them intensely
I don't
so
know
that they take
about
that
fuck them
aggressive
folks.
competitive impulse and they're capable of manifesting it inside a social structure like a game so that it's a benefit to everyone. And you can do that. It's not the problem.
The mausoleum.
It's beneath his dignity
Yes.
to bully someone weak. So you can attach that right to the competitiveness. It's like you bully someone weaker than you.
I already done it, so it's permanently out of commission.
It speaks right to that.
Interesting.
Try it. Oh, I don't want to be a loser. That's martial arts or something. That's one of the this is a huge part of what's taught in traditional martial arts academies. There's a very clear way of thinking, and you're never supposed to right. You're supposed to have misuse of your power. Exactly. You're supposed to have extreme reverence.
I do.
Master, literally called master. Right. In almost all martial arts. Right. So that's another thing that's really interesting about a functional hierarchy. It's like because the leftist critics look at a hierarchy and they think
Come on. Always gonna get number 2 and
but what you're saying, what you're pointing out is no, in a functional hierarchy, there's plenty of respect going up, right? So it's not just power. It's like power. It's authority and subordination at the same time. Voluntary subordination, because you should be properly subordinate to the people who are better at what you're doing.
What a fingers shaking they are about that no matter.
And the radical leftists never take this into account, as far as I'm concerned, is that one of the things I've learned about people who run successful organizations, whether they're academic or business, is that they really love mentoring young people. It's an intrinsic pleasure, because you think, well, it's for the evil capitalists, it's winner take all and to hell with everyone else. And that's an unbelievably cynical view of human nature. It only really applies to people who are genuinely psychopathic, and they're very rare. And so most of the people I know that have been hyper successful are absolutely thrilled if they can find a young person. They don't care, generally speaking, about sex or creed or color or any of that crap. They care about competence.
build.
This game are pretty underwhelming, to be honest. The last thing I want to show you guys is my wondrous physic. I think it's extremely underrated. I don't see... Hey, what's going on, guys? Extremely fun. Quick shout support on my Elden Ring. I'm gonna put a link at the top of extremely overpowered. You will be able to do lots of damage with your spells, but that's not it. We also have the Moonveil Katana that absolutely destroys everything that it touches. The Moonveil and the Dark Moon Greatsword, especially after the patch, are going to be an amazing option for this setup. What makes this intelligence build everything that it touches? The Moonveil and the Dark Moon Greatsword, especially after the patch, are going to be an amazing option for this setup.
Fuck you.
Setup. What makes this intelligence build so good is the combat capabilities. You are going to be extremely effective from range. You will be able to destroy almost everything with the Moonveil Katana transient moonlight skill. If played correctly, nothing will be able to touch you, making this one of the best intelligence builds in Elden Ring. If you are somewhere in the level 50 range in Elden Ring and want to work your way towards a build like mine, well, this is what your attributes would look like, something similar to this. For Vigor, we would have 20. mind, 20. Health and mind are going to be extremely important because obviously we want good survivability, but we also want to make sure we have enough focus points to cast our spells and use our weapon skills. Endurance 13, Strength 15, just enough so we can use the Moonveil Katana at least. Dexterity 20, Intelligence 30, so look something very important. For your spell, 35, attribute on the where I'm at in the game. This is actually my 5th. I'm currently level 235. For my attributes, I have 60, Vigor, Mind 40. Now for our primary weapon on this build, I mean nothing compares to the Moonveil Katana, one of the best weapons in the game, easily top 3, on par with the Blasphemous Blade and the Rivers of Blood Katana. I want to make sure you guys are fully equipped with the best in slot items. Another great option to use is the Dark Moon Greatsword, which actually just received a buff in patch 1.04. With the release of 1.04, Ranni's Dark Moon Greatsword has an increased cast speed and a decreased recovery time, which is nice. If you enjoyed using this weapon before, you are going to like it even more now, and honestly, I can say, personally, I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's really good for range, frost buildup, does lots and lots of magic damage. As we can see here, our Dark Moon Greatsword is plus 10, physical attack power 200 plus 90, magic damage 240 plus 352. Attribute scaling heavily favors intelligence, making this a great weapon for any intelligence build. Keep in mind, it doesn't matter if you go with strength or dexterity, both scale evenly. And also remember that in order to use this weapon, you do need at least 16 strength, 11 dexterity, and 38 intelligence. I still think your best option is the Moonveil Katana. What's also great about this weapon, not only is it one of the best choices, but you can actually get it pretty early on in the game. With all my videos, you guys, any item that we go over, whether it's a weapon, and you still have not gotten your hands on, once you attack power, B, keep in mind, in cast spells in Elden Ring, fully maxed out staff will have incredible intelligence scaling, and you have a lot of different options to go with. You don't have to use this one specifically. But in case you are curious, my attribute scaling here is S tier, which is the highest tier. Attributes required to use this scepter, keep in mind this is an endgame glintstone staff. You need at least 8 strength, 10 dexterity, and 60 intelligence. The apparel is actually personal preference. I wanted to make a magic samurai warrior, something like that. So this is what I came up with here. On the Iron Casa for the head, the astrologer robe, which is actually pretty good. It gives us 90 focus and 76 vitality. Also the white reed samurai gauntlets and the white reed greaves. I think it looks pretty badass. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think, but it's really just personal preference. Alright, the talisman's extremely important. Now the first talisman here, the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman, which enormously boosts physical damage negation. Trust me, you guys are going to want to have this on your build because we're not only going to be playing from range and casting spells, sometimes we have to take full advantage of the Moonveil Katana, and we want to make sure we have as much survivability as possible. This is going to increase our survivability and also make us more confident when we're in combat. For the second talisman here, we have the Green Turtle Talisman, which works very well in a build like this because stamina is important, and unfortunately, when you use spells in Elden Ring, it does use stamina, which I don't like very much, but I guess it balances. The more we can spam is the Shard of Alexander boosted in. This is great to have as a sword. The longer you charge it, you will increase your damage and also increase the range of the spell. Now the Comet spell does use quite a bit of focus, but it's okay. It does do a lot of damage, so it's kind of like a high risk, high reward situation, you know? The next spell we are using, another great spell in Elden Ring, is the Comet Azure. If timed correctly, you know, with the right positioning, as long as your target's not moving, You can do a lot of damage with this spell, and it's easily one of the best, especially on bosses. Now, defensive spells are also very good to have, especially the Carrion Phalanx. I think I'm saying that correctly. This one's really good, and I mean, if timed correctly, you can hit your target with this defensive spell, and then hit them really hard with Transient Moonlight on your Moonveil Katana. It's a really good combination. I like using it a lot on specific enemies, and it's really good. You know, you get that added attack, you also get more defense, and you can still dish out a lot of DPS with the Transient Moonlight. This spell right here, the next one here, the Terra Magica, I think I'm saying it correctly, is actually extremely underrated because, yes, it's not that big of a radius, but as long as you're standing in this circle here, you do extra damage with your spells. And this is going to help you a lot in higher level areas when you fight enemies that have a lot of HP. I think it's extremely underrated. I don't see it being used much, but you have a lot of memory slots and you have a lot of room for different types of spells. And today I'm going to be showing you guys the best spells to use because quite a few of them in this game are pretty underwhelming, to be honest. The last thing I want to show you guys is my Wondrous Physic. I think this is also very important. But I do also want to mention, I think the Cerulean Hidden Tier got nerfed with patch 1.04. Because before, I think you also get more defense and you can still... This one's really good, and I mean, if timed correctly, if timed correctly, you know, with the right positioning, as long as your target's not moving, you can do a...
No.
A lot of damage with this spell, and it's easily one of the best, especially on bosses. Now, defensive spells are also very good to have, especially the Carrion Phalanx. I think I'm saying that correctly. This one's really good, and I mean, if timed correctly, you can hit your target with this defensive spell, and then hit them really hard with Transient Moonlight on your Moonveil Katana. It's a really good combination. I like using it a lot on specific enemies, and it's really good. You know, you get that added attack, you also get more defense, and you can still dish out a lot of DPS with the Transient Moonlight. This spell right here, the next one here, the Terra Magica, I think I'm saying it correctly, is actually extremely underrated because, yes, it's not that big of a radius, but as long as you're standing in this circle here, you do extra damage with your spells. And this is going to help you a lot in higher level areas when you fight enemies that have a lot of HP. I think it's extremely underrated. I don't see it being used much, but you have a lot of memory slots and you have a lot of room for different types of spells. And today I'm going to be showing you guys the best spells to use because quite a few of them in this game are pretty underwhelming, to be honest. The last thing I want to show you guys is my Wondrous Physic. I think this is also very important. But I do also want to mention, I think the Cerulean Hidden Tier got nerfed with patch 1.04. Because before, the item effect tier, which eliminates all FP consumption, used to last 15 seconds. And now it only seems like it's lasting 7. So I'm not sure if this was nerfed. I might actually change this, but for right now, we will keep it. I think the most important thing is temporarily boosting stamina and stamina recovery speed, which is why I'm also using the Green Burst Crystal tier. If I wanted to get rid of the Cerulean Hidden tier, I could put this one in here, the Green Spell Crystal tier, which temporarily boosts stamina in the Mixed Physic. I think I'll stick with this for now. That is the build, everybody. Seriously appreciate you clicking on the...
Word. Did you not realize I was merely being polite? Oh, you provincials never cease to amaze. I suppose you're here now. Perhaps I'll give you something to do. I'd like you to find a woman called Neferi to administer a potion. Even you can do that much, can't you? Good, good. Now I shall hand over the potion in question. Find Nepheli and ensure she drinks it. I expect glad tidings, and soon. I've no time for idle chit-chat. The only thing I will hear from you is are we under... I have enough. I've no time for idle chit-chat. The only thing I will hear from you is a report of your task's completion. Are we understood? Then off you trot. I have enough on my plate. I've no time for idle chit-chat. The only thing I will hear from you is a report of your task's completion. Are we understood? Then off you trot. I have enough on my plate.
Oh no.
No. Wait. You have felt the curse. I can smell it on you. The box, yet tender. Apparently my seedbed is ripe and waiting. 'Twas a brief respite, I must say. Go and unshackle my corporeal flesh, trapped in the sewer jail below the capital. I can kill you and defile your corpse. Then the pox will truly be your own. Go and unshackle my corpse, trapped in the sewer. I can kill, then the pox will...
Should be interesting.
They want to find a competent young person who's got a lot of possibility. and then open up all sorts of doors of opportunity for them and to see how they can help them develop. And if they can do that with 20 or 30 people, then like my graduate supervisor had his, he's getting old, and he had his retirement party about 2 years ago, and about 30 of the people that he trained into becoming scientists came to his party, and they talked nonstop about the beneficial effect that he had on their life. You know, he found a lot of them were, you know, they were young and smart, but weren't really all that properly oriented in the world, and he picked them out and gave them opportunities, and he certainly did this for me. It's opened all sorts of doors for me, and that was a huge source of pleasure in his life. I think maybe the primary source. He had a family as well, and obviously his family was of primary importance, but in his professional career, it wasn't his name on papers and his, you know, his name in the marquee. It was all these young people whose careers he could foster. It was never ending source of satisfaction.
This is not just like something that looks good on paper. When you can show some young person who's coming up the way, you're 10 years ahead of them, and you can say, these are the mistakes that I can help you get through. It's a great deal of personal satisfaction.
Oh, definitely.
There's got to be some sort of an evolutionary benefit.
Well, that's part of it. See, that's the thing is we are evolved for reciprocity. We really are. We're not evolved for power.
Right.
This is what's so deeply wrong. We have modern society. That isn't what we. First of all, power is not the best strategy. It's simply not. Because the more subordinates that are reciprocally engaged, so that have a friendship, tear them into pieces. So I don't care how strong you are. 3 guys that are like 2/3 your strength are going to take you out. So you're much better situated in society and in your life if you're in an interactive network of reciprocally engaged, but also in life. And if you're hyper-confidence, the capacity for genuine reciprocity, that makes you unstoppable.
What's the willingness to be ignorant about all the variabilities, especially when you consider the multiple resources?
Well, I think some of it's justification for failure. You know, like if you're not doing very well, then it's really easy to think that the game is rigged. It's also easy to be resentful about people who seem to have more than you have, especially if you're not thinking about it very clearly. You know, and that's another thing that I've been trying to lecture to people about, is that you should be very careful about assuming that someone else has more than you do. I mean, one of the best predictors of whether someone has money is how old they are. So old people say, well, obviously, right? They have their whole life. Well, it's like, well, who's got it better? You want to be rich and old or young and poor? You know, I mean, you can't buy youth with money. So it isn't obvious who's better off in a situation like that. In fact, I think most people who are old and rich will trade it for young and poor fairly damn quick.
That's what
Yeah. I know, that's just too much to bear.
young, rich guys. Like, 17-year-old. Well, pump about that. Famous. 17.
But you know, the funny thing too, though, is that, you know, even with people who have that sort of, let's call it, you know, independent of their talent, you don't have to scratch beneath the surface very far, even in successful people's lives, until you find a pretty decent thing in tragedy. You know, and so success is also based on pretty dimensions. Whatever they might be, let's say it's a yacht. Celebrities. And it isn't obvious always that more money is good for people. You know, I mean, to say, oh, that's a problem I'd like to have. It's like, look, fair enough. There are worse problems, but celebrity and fame and fortune are also not that easy to deal with, and they come with their own pitfalls. Plus, there's lots of things they don't protect you against. You know, people still get divorced.
As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. To start Dung Eater's quest, you'll first need to gain access to the Altus Plateau. You'll need to get both halves of the Dectus Medallion. One can be found at Fort Height in southeast Limgrave, and the other half can be found at Fort Baroth in Caelid. Once you have the complete medallion, take it to the Grand Lift of Dectus in northeastern Liurnia. You can get to it by traveling up along the west side of Liurnia Lake. After reaching the main Caria Manor Gate site of Grace, head east and use a stone spire bridge to cross over to the east side, then make your way north to the lift. After doing that, you'll be able to find Dung Eater at Roundtable Hold in a secluded room past the Twin Maiden Husks. Speaking with him the first time, he'll probably want nothing to do with you, that is unless you have a Seedbed Curse in your inventory. While you only need one of them to do all but the last step in Dung Eater's questline, to finish his quest you'll need a total of 5. The first 2 are in Leyndell Royal Capital. To access Leyndell you'll need to acquire 2 Great Runes. I recommend getting them from Godric the Grafted and Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. Then head to the north side of the capital where a boss is guarding the entrance. For the first Seedbed Curse, start at the Capital Rampart site of Grace and walk along the beaten path until reaching a lift. Second Seedbed Curse. Until reaching the Bridge of Iniquities path, walking up against it and clicking the dodge button. Head through it and down into the depths of Volcano. You'll then need to make your way through this area until reaching the Temple of Eagles. We'll make a quick stop at the Guest Hall site of Grace along the way. Make your way to the bottom of this room. Okay, getting back to the quest, at the bottom of this chamber, head to the southwest side to find the 3rd Seedbed Curse. You can watch my guide, make your way through, exit, and platform way into. If you have a Seedbed Curse, he'll give you the sewer jail key. Take this key and head to the sewers in Leyndell. Starting from the West Capital Rampart site of Grace, head northwest and make your way down to the streets below. Take you down to the sewer. From the underground roadside site of Grace, head out to the northeast and take the drop on your left. Follow the path to the northwest and make your way past a few giant poisonous flowers. After climbing up the ladder, watch out for the giant spider hand on the ceiling above. On the far side of the chamber, you'll find an iron door that opens with the key. Enter and speak with the physical form of Dung Eater and tell him to leave. Then go through the rest of his dialogue. Return to Roundtable Hold and you'll find a message where Dung Eater normally sits. Read it and you'll trigger the next step of the quest. From the Capital Rampart site of Grace, head a short distance northwest and make your way down into a crater area with a shallow pit of water. At that point, you'll be invaded by Dung Eater, and you'll need to defeat him to progress the quest. Quick warning, if you're trying to complete Blackguard Big Bogart's questline, you'll want to finish that before doing this step in Dung Eater's quest, as it will make Bogart's quest incompletable. After defeating Dung Eater, return to Round Table Hold, where he'll ask you to return to his jail cell and Eater's quest. From the Capital Rampart site of Grace, head a short distance northwest and make your way down into a crater area with a shallow pit of water. At that point, you'll be invaded by Dung Eater, and you'll need to defeat him to progress the quest. Quick warning, if you're trying to complete Blackguard Big Bogart's questline, you'll want to finish that before doing this. Blackguard Big Bogart is an NPC in Elden Ring with a very easily missed quest. It involves Raya and Dung Eater along with a lifetime supply of boiled crab, all of which will be covered in this guide. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. To start this quest, you'll actually need to speak with Raya in Liurnia. You'll find her to the east of Scenic Isle in a pavilion near the Bird's Eye Telescope. Unfortunately, if you've already... Afterwards, you can speak with Bogart again to open his shop of unlimited access to Lanedale Royal Capital. To do that, acquire 2 great... In addition to the boiled prawns, Bogart will sell boiled crabs at the Outer Moat location. They are similar to boiled prawns, but will increase physical damage negation to an even greater extent. Despite being better, they are actually the same price as boiled prawns. Get your fill of crabs and then speak with Bogart and go through all of his dialogue relating to Dung Eater before leaving. Next, you'll need to collect at least 1 seabed curse. The easiest one to get is right after entering the Royal Capital. Start at the Capital Rampart site of Grace and walk along the beaten path until reaching a lift. After taking it down, you'll find a ladder in the next building that leads up to the first seabed curse. Afterwards, speak to Dung Eater at Round Table Hold. After noticing the seabed curse, you'll sewer jail key and tell you to find and release his corporeal body in the Lanedale sewers. Starting from the West Capital Rampart site of Grace, head northwest and make your way down to the streets below. A short distance to the northeast, there's a barely hidden water well that will take you down to the sewers.
What are you looking at? Oh, you again.
Make your way through the sewers until you reach the underground roadside site of Grace.
Crab, cooked up fresh. Hey, there's something I should probably tell you. You heard of the Dung Eater? He's a madman. Has it out for everyone. Curses him. Goes round in his rank armor and all. You see him though. Stay, well, away. I was in the same jail as him once, so I know firsthand. He's a god-forsaken monster. Not just some petty thug like me. He's a killer. Kills people. And curses the souls. Does all sort of shit to the corpses. To keep them cursed forever. I ain't seen nothing more disgusting in all my years. I ain't ever been more scared neither. Rooted to the bloody spot while he did that to my friend.
Marika's tit. Never met someone with a taste for crab I couldn't trust. You've got a real thing here, eh? And it's only getting better. Marika's tits.
Out to the northeast and giant poisonous flowers. On the far side of the chamber, you'll find an iron door that opens with the key. Enter and speak with the physical form of Dung Eater and tell him to leave. Then go through the rest of his dialogue. After releasing Dung Eater, return to his spot at Round Table Hold. You'll find a message that reads, "Come to the outer moat." Head back to Bogart's location and speak through all of his new dialogue. Then reload the game and return to the moat to find the poor Blackguard in an injured state. Interact with him and he'll drop his armor set, bell bearing, and a seedbed curse. Make sure to pick up all of those items quickly before being invaded by Dung Eater, just in case you die. Then of course you'll need to defeat Dung Eater as part of his questline. After the invasion, you can take Bogart's bell bearing to the Twin Maiden Husks to unlock a lifetime supply of boiled crab. And that's about it for Big Bogart's quest. If you're still having trouble with this quest, you can reach out in the comment section where I'll do my best to help. I also recommend checking the pinned comment I have, as I'll be updating it with information about specific problems people are having and potential solutions. I'm working on guides for all the major quests in Elden Ring. If you want to find those, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. There's also a marshmallow for doing this step in Dung Eater's quest, as it will make Bogart's quest incompletable. After defeating Dung Eater, return to Round Table Hold, where he'll ask you to return to his jail cell and feed his physical form seedbed curses. At this point, you can either feed Dung Eater the seedbed curses, or if you're doing Celavis's questline, you can give Dung Eater Celavis's potion. From what I've seen, you cannot do both, and if you give Celavis's potion to Dung Eater, you will not be able to complete Dung Eater's quest. I have a guide on Celavis's questline if you want more info before making your decision. I'll leave a link to it near the bottom of this video's description. Assuming you want to complete Dung Eater's quest, feed him the 5 seedbed curses. Doing so will lead to some parting words from Dung Eater, along with a parting gift, the Mending Rune of the Fell Curse. This key item can be used at the end of the game to trigger the most malicious, probably worst ending in the game, but now at least you have the option. As a bonus, if you reload the area and return to Dung Eater's corpse, you'll be able to loot the Omen armor set off of him. It's very heavy armor with an exceptional vitality stat. If you're still having issues with this quest, feel free to reach out in the comments section and I'll do my best to provide a good answer. I also recommend checking my pinned comment, as I'll be updating it with helpful information about problems and potential fixes. I'm putting together guides for all of the major quests. Celavis is one of the major NPCs in Elden Ring. He has a short but treacherous questline involving Ranni, Nefeli, and Dung Eater, all of which will be covered in this video. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. To meet Celavis, you'll first to Nefeli option. Giving it to Nefeli will allow you to get a spirit summon version of Nefeli's Despair. This will you'll have the option of giving her where she is in the basement of Round Table and actually give it to Dung Eater. This can be done once his go to the Rise and speak with Celavis, and he'll task you with finding Nefeli and giving her a potion that he's concocted. Now you have 3 major options for what to do with Celavis's potion. The first I'll talk about is to actually give it to Dung Eater. This can be done once his questline has been progressed to the point where he is strapped to a chair and accepting seedbed curses. The second option is to do as Celavis asked and give it to Nefeli. In order to give it to her, you'll need to progress her questline up to the point where she is in the basement of Round Table Hold. At that point, you will need to ask Gideon about her despair, after which you'll have the option of giving her the potion. The third option is to show Gideon the potion after speaking to him about Nefeli's despair. This will open up the option for him to take the potion and dispose of it safely. Without treading too far into spoiler territory, here are the outcomes of the 3 options with Celibus's potion. Giving it to Dung Eater will allow you to get a spirit summon version of Dung Eater, but will also prevent completion of his full questline. Giving it to Nepheli will allow you to get a spirit summon version of Nepheli, but will also prevent completion of her full questline. Giving it to Gideon will not prevent completion of any questline, but you will miss out on getting either Dung Eaters or Nepheli's spirit summons. This is probably the most virtuous or good option to go with. If you're not sure on how to complete either Nepheli's or Dung Eater's questlines, up to the point where you can give them or Gideon the potion, I'll put links to guide videos for each of those questlines in this video's description. Once you've chosen any of those 3 decisions, return to Celibus at his rise to inform him that the task is complete. You'll response, he'll offer you a puppet. At the point where you can give them or Gideon the potion, I'll put links to guide videos for each of those questlines in this video's description. Once you've chosen any of those 3 decisions, return to Celibus at his rise to inform him that the task is complete. At this point, you'll need to locate Celibus's hidden chambers to progress his questline. Go to Ronnie's Rise and travel northeast. At the first ruins, there is a false floor on the ground that will fade when struck or rolled on, revealing a hidden staircase. Descend into the chamber and proceed to the opposite side. There should be a gold message near the southwest corner of the chamber that reads Celibus's puppet, do not touch. You'll also find the puppet of either Dung Eater or Nepheli if you gave Celibus's potion to one of them. After reading that message, you can return to Celibus at his rise and broach the topic. In response, he'll offer you a puppet. To continue Celibus's quest, we'll need access to his puppet shop. You should have the option to make it available if you have a Starlight Shard in your inventory. However, if you're like me and have Starlight Shards but still don't see the dialogue option that gets you access to the puppet shop, you may need to go find an additional Starlight Shard in the open world. I picked up mine to the east of Orbidus's Rise in Weeping Peninsula, then returned to Celibus. At that point, he should have the I want a new puppet dialogue option, which opens up his puppet shop. As a quick side note, if you gave Celibus's potion to Dung Eater, you'll be able to purchase the Dung Eater puppet, with the Dolores puppet becoming available later on. If you gave the potion to Nepheli, you'll be able to purchase the Dolores puppet, and it will be Nepheli's puppet that becomes available later on. And if you gave the potion to Gideon, you won't be able to purchase any of those 3 puppets, but you will be able to get the Dolores puppet later on. Getting back on track, to progress Celibus's quest, you'll need to purchase at least 1 more of his puppets, as well as all of the sorceries he has available. After doing that, speak with Celibus again and choose the new About the Scheme option. This will trigger the next phase of his questline, in which he requests that you bring him an Amber Starlight Shard. A single Amber Starlight Shard can be found in a crater to the northeast of the Altus Highway Junction site of Grace in Altus Plateau. Nepheli is an NPC in Elden Ring. Gatekeeper Gestahl will be found in a chamber. Exit past a giant and some guards. You'll find Nepheli. And now you'll have rest at the but alive. And she should be sitting nearby. To the next timestamp. How description. Continuing Nepheli's quest at found in a chest next to the Fort Belfry site of Grace. A second can be found in Raya Lucaria Academy, and a third can be found at.
Who are you? I've been here long enough. I will kill again, and defile each corpse with care, just to be sure that when they're reborn, they'll be cursed. I will kill again, just to wish hell we could. I took you've no matter to lay out your arms then.
Ah, you. Please, leave me be. It's pathetic, I know, but I need to think.
The town of Celia and Caleb. Use the key to activate the eastmost belfry, then take the... You should eventually have the option to give the storm on King Ashes. Do so and continue speaking with her until she has nothing new to say. And this is the last interaction you'll need to have with Belly before she moves to her final location. But in order for that to actually happen, you'll need to complete 2 more steps. First, you'll need to defeat Margot the Elden King at the garden entrance on the first grade a short. Speak with him heavily and you'll return to Kent. You'll notice that it was bolted to go. It folded west. Head over and speak with Nepheli to drag smithing stone for your epic stock and Kenneth Knight at the throne room to the northwest. Head over and speak with Nepheli to resolve her questline and receive an ancient drag smithing stone for your efforts. You can also speak with Gestalk and acquire a second ancient drag smithing stone in exchange for 20,000 euros. Speak with Kenneth and he'll proclaim that he has chosen Nepheli to be the ruler of Windgrade and that he'll eventually return to Fort Height, where he'll raise you to the glory of knighthood, which I imagine will actually happen in a future patch of the game. If you gave Sylvanas' potion to Nepheli, you'll have to wait until you get close to complete Nepheli's questline. The same goes for if you defeated Malekith in the Crumbling Fair of Missoula. Outside of those 2 actions, if you are still having issues with this quest, then feel free to Dung Eater is an NPC in Elden. And it has an completable. After defeating Dung Eater, return to Roundtable Hold, where he'll ask you to return to his jail cell and his physical form that curses. From what I've seen, you can knock you both and go before Eater along with a parting gift, the Mending Rune of the Fell Curse. This key item can be used at the end of the game to trigger the most malicious, probably worst ending in the game, but now at least you have the option. As a bonus, if you reload the area and return to Dung Eater's corpse, you'll be able to loot the Omen armor set off of him. It's very heavy armor with an exceptional vitality stat. If you're still having issues with this quest, feel free to reach out in the comments section and I'll do my best to provide a good answer. I also recommend checking my pinned comment as I'll be updating it with helpful information about problems and potential fixes. I'm putting together guides for all the major quests in Elden Ring. To find those, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me beat my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day if you're here today. Have a great Sunday, and as always, thanks for watching.
Yes, I'm not big enough for 2 of us.
Ah, you. Please. It's pathetic, I know, but... So you know already, do you? Right. It's true. My father cast me out for indulging my emotions, forgetting the mission.
What's that?
Punishment for offing his pawns. Lord Gideon has offered me guidance all my life. I would have done anything for him, to place him on the throne of Elden Lord. And yet though it was not my intent, I betrayed him. longer trust in Father. To think he'd order his men to enact such tragedy. Where is the justice he purports in that? He once told me that if he became Elden Lord, he would never allow the downtrodden to be cheated ever again. Was he simply lying to me? No. How could I say that? Father has always given me his guidance. And now, I've lost it. Medicine, is it? Fine. I'll take a dose. Perhaps it'll do me some good. It's very sweet, isn't it? And very...
Oh no. Yeah, I fucked up. Like unbelievable. Oh.
Ah, it was thee, not blithe it seemeth. Even in my slumber I sensed it. It is in thy possession, is it not? The hidden treasure of Nokron. My thanks. Finally all the pieces are in place. Soon must I begin my journey. Upon the dark path only I may tread. Ah, but before I leave, I shall entrust thee with this. My thanks for thy sterling efforts. A strange gift, perhaps. But a rare sort such as thee would welcome it, I'm sure. I am certain now. Fate steered us to our reunion. I must thank Torrent, too, for his part. You may leave now. It was but brief. But thou gavest me fine service. What is it? You may go. I, too, am to depart. What is I, too?
The fuck is it? What?
Those three puppets and broach the topic. chamber and proceed to the opposite side, there should be a gold message near the southwest corner of the chamber that reads Celavis's puppet, do not touch. You'll also find the puppet of either Dung Eater or Nefeli if you gave Celavis's potion to one of them. After reading that message, you can return to Celavis.
I see how you're doing the puppet.
So you made Nefeli drink the potion. Well done. You are a touch more useful than I had thought. Very well. Then you shall have your gift. Knowledge of the sorcerous arts and of the tutelage of the great preceptor Celavis. I doubt much of it will lay within the grasp of a mere tarnished, but if you put your mind to it, perhaps you won't embarrass our lady. You wish to begin right this moment? Well, your impatience, though boorish, is understandable. Let's have at it. You break into a man's private chambers, rooting about as you please. Your offishness knows no bounds. Fine and well. You tricked Nefeli and had her drink the potion. I believe that makes you my accomplice. You yearn for a puppet of your own? Well, normally one of your stature would never be allowed. But perhaps I can make a very special exception. Now, choose. Begging for an... doesn't make...